The royal family here in the UK is a British institution. It's traditional, it's our heritage, it's part of who we are, it's cultural, it's British culture. And like 'em or not, the royal family have for centuries been central to everything that's British. It's a fact. And because of that fact, I believe there is a plot to destroy them, to bring them down, simply because they have embodied Britishness, and there are people out there, even in Britain today, who hate Britishness. So the latest is that a staff member, a lady in waiting, someone who served Her Majesty the Queen and the country for 60 years without putting a foot wrong or being involved in any controversy, newspaper headline, anything of that sort, Lady Susan Hussey. She is now the villain of the week for alleged racism. Now, the woman is 83. She has served the royal family loyally for 6 decades, and now she has been forced to resign and thrown under the bus as an act of sacrificial appeasement. So the story goes there was a cocktail party in Buckingham Palace a few nights ago, and one of the attendees there was a woman called Ngozi Fulani, and she was wearing a full traditional African dress. And also Lady Susan Hussey happened to be there, so she was approached by Lady Susan Hussey, who asked her where she came from, which is a perfectly natural thing to say. It's a natural question. If you spot someone at a party or nearby, and the purpose of the event is to engage with the public and with the guests, one of the questions that you would ask if you see someone wearing a non-native dress would be, where do you come from? I myself have met Prince Charles and Camilla. I should say King Charles and Queen Consort Camilla now, force of habit. And I watched them as they did the rounds with guests, and the main question was, who? Where do you come from? Ooh, what do you do? Ooh, sweetity swooty. You know, that sort of thing. So anyway, Lady Hussey asked Ngozi Fulani where she came from, and she received a series of non-replies. Now we know this because there's been a full transcript of the conversation printed by the mainstream media. So that tells me Ngozi Fulani had a tape recorder with her. And how the hell did she get that past security? Because I know from experience, having been to Buckingham Palace and Downing Street myself, you are not allowed under any circumstances to take your mobile phones inside. But as it turns out, Ngozi Fulani is a British citizen. And afterwards she said that she felt like she'd been denied her nationality and was a victim of institutionalised racism by the royal family. And like I said, where are you from? What do you do? They are standard questions by royal family members to the public. So if I walked into Buckingham Palace wearing a sombrero, I should expect to be asked where I'm from. If I walked into Buckingham Palace wearing a full samurai armour, I should expect to be asked where I'm from. Because, you know, that's how small talk starts, and the royal family are experts at small talk. They engage with the public on a daily basis. It's what they do. They have a public image. They need to be personable with members of the public to make the public like them. It's called hearts and minds. Because I can guarantee you, when Lady Susan Hussey asked that question over and over to Ngozi Fulani and wanted to know exactly where she was from, it's because Africa is a huge continent. So Lady Hussey would have been damned if she did and damned if she didn't. If she'd have said, oh, you're from Africa, she'd have been accused of being a racist for generalising anyway. So I suspect Lady Hussey was asking, where are you from exactly, to pinpoint which country in Africa she was actually from. And that's judging her by her dress, not her skin colour. Now, I knew when this story came out there was just something wrong with it. My gut instinct told me it's off. I smell a rat. And this woman, Ngozi Fulani, is only too happy to speak to reporters on radio stations and on news programmes about what happened. And the term institutionalised racism keeps coming out of her mouth. And it's like she's following a script. Well, it turns out Ngozi Fulani helps run a charity called Sister Space, and they help black women domestic violence survivors. And she's had a go at the royal family before, and you know, which makes me suspicious. Why the hell would she turn up there for an event after she slagged off the royal family for racism? But the worst statement she ever said about them was, in 2021, she said, "I admire Meghan Markle for speaking out. According to clear definition, it's clear Meghan is a survivor of domestic violence from her in-laws." I mean, what a slanderous, disgusting statement. She is assuming there, or she stated, that Meghan Markle was somehow violently beaten by members of the royal family. Can you imagine such a thing? And then she went on to accuse the royal family of banning Meghan Markle from events and appearances and appearing on the balcony a few times at Buckingham Palace because she's black and they're racist. It's all utter nonsense, isn't it? If the royal family really were racists, then surely Meghan Markle wouldn't have had a look in and marry Prince Harry. I mean, Charles even walked her down the aisle. What a load of nonsense, and it gets murkier because it turns out her charity, Sister Space, has been funded by Black Lives Matter, a deeply corrupt and Marxist group. A group that called for governments to stop funding the police, which is ironic because without the police, I am pretty sure domestic violence numbers would be shooting up, they would be skyrocketing, there'd be more of it. So there we go, my gut instinct tells me this was planned. Ngozi Fulani went there to the cocktail party at Buckingham Palace with a tape recorder, because remember, there's a transcript of this whole conversation online, in order to dig for and find something, anything she could use against the royal family in order to accuse them of being institutionally racist. And Lady Susan Hussey, a woman who's 83, gave 60 years of her life serving Queen and country as a lady in waiting, was the victim, and she was thrown under the bus. And I'll tell you what, folks, it is no coincidence that the trailer for Meghan and her assistant Harry's Netflix show dropped literally hours after this story broke. So make of that what you will. This whole story is a setup. It's set up to bring the royal family down, and the mainstream media and social media, they're all falling for it. Well, apart from Twitter for once, because Twitter is now the home of common sense. So there we go. That's what I think. That's my theory. Please let me know what you think in the comments, and until the next time, have a great day. Look after yourselves. Please watch my previous video. You'll see why. And Roger Trout.